is the phenomenon of non-ordinary, or what I call visible language. And this is very interesting to me. This is where technology, virtual reality, cybernetics, human-machine interfacing can actually make an impact and explore a frontier. Visual language is a transformation of the physiological impulse towards syntax into a final product, speech, which is not heard with the ears, but beheld with the eyes. And it's very interesting that all our metaphors of clarity of speech are visual metaphors. We say, I see what you mean. He spoke clearly. This means that at the organismic level, we associate a higher signal clarity with visual input. And on DMT and other tryptamine psychedelics, you actually experience the field of language, both heard and self-generated, as something that is visibly beheld. It's almost as though the project of communication becomes high-speed sculpture in a conceptual dimension made of light and intentionality. Well, this would remain a kind of esoteric performance on the part of shamans at the height of intoxication, if it were not for the fact that electronics and electronic cultural media and computers make it possible for us to actually create records of these higher linguistic modalities. In other words, it's possible to imagine a virtual reality that was driven by a speech-operated synthesizer, where the various parts of ordinary speech, adjectives, modifiers, subjects, and objects, were interpreted by the cybernetic environment as topological manifolds of various shapes, so that speech would then generate a visibly beheld topology. And it's possible to imagine a future world where, in setting up marriage contracts or negotiating corporate takeovers, in other words, in areas where communication, clear expression of intentionality was very important, that people would actually go into the virtual reality to use the virtual language, because its capacity for conveying intent would be much greater than ordinary spoken language. In other words, it's not for nothing that Plato connected up the notion of the good, the true, and ultimately the beautiful. And the beautiful of those three concepts is the primary concept, because it is visibly beheld, because it is seen. This is the great convincing power of the psychedelic experience, that it ultimately appeals to us through the sense that we value most, that we existentially relate to as the most authentic, and that is the visual. Visible language is a kind of telepathy, because you see, if I make a statement in visual language and then you and I regard my statement, we are somehow in the act of regarding made one, because meaning is not being created out of interiorized dictionaries, which we each consult in the privacy of our own mind, but rather meaning is a visible manifold in the public domain. Meaning goes public, and the differences between people then decline toward being